Welcome back, everyone. I'm Setharoth, and today we are diving into the first episode of the Sacrosanct Deep Dive. Sacrosanct is a vampire mod for Skyrim that overhauls basically the entirety of your life as a character playing as a vampire. That does not affect your enemies, right? So other vampire mods that make vampires tougher to fight will be different from what Sacrosanct touches. Sacrosanct is for overhauling your player experience. So this is kind of a Vampirism 101 for vampires. We're going to be going over a number of the abilities that you get as a vampire, the buffs, the things that change based on how well fed you are. One of the most interesting things about Sacrosanct is it kind of inverts the vampirism in that the more you feed, the more powerful you become, and different spells and abilities become available. So we're going to start off by looking at the vampire powers. These happen as soon as you become a vampire, and you keep them no matter what level of thirst or feeding you are at. Make sure we aim this right. There we are.
I didn't ask you to magic me.
Yeah, vampires aren't that big on what your plans are. Alright, so now that he's been hit with Vampiric Seduction, we have a couple of options. Drain is part of the Smolier quest, and we're going to be discussing that in a different video. We can talk to him just like he was a regular NPC, or it is served. Keep in mind, when you feed, this is non-lethal, and I like to think of it as it erases the memory of the feeding, because this guy still sticks around even after the spell wears off. So this is a good way as a character, if you're, as a vampire, particularly with Sacrosanct, if you get really hungry, it changes the gameplay, and if you're in a wrong type of character build, that can be very problematic. So having one NPC that you can just feed off of easily, like the carriage driver in front of my house, gives me a reliable way to stay satiated, full, whatever, with as few complications as possible. Obviously, feeding on anyone in public where other NPCs can watch will cause them to not take that discovery too kindly. So we're going to hop over to Whiterun and check out the rest of these powers. Let's see. So next, I think we will look at the Vampiric Sight.
I mostly deal with petty thievery and drunken brawls.
Yes, that is a conversation for another time. Alright, Vampire's Sight. I believe this one... Yeah, so these powers that I have marked as favorites, you can use them all once per day, right? That's the limit, once per day. However, with Vampire's Sight, you can just turn this one on and off. And what this is basically night vision, right? It changes the color scheme for the entire game. It's particularly effective in the dark, because it brightens all of the shadows. So if you're in a crypt or a dungeon and it's just a dark spot without a lot of visibility, this is pretty much what it will look like when you're underground, maybe a little darker. But when I first started with the Sacrosanct mod, I was running around in night vision, or with this, vision activated, and I didn't know whether it was day or night. They all just kind of muddled together, because it has a similar effect both during day and night of changing the saturation and the color scheme to the point where things look like this. And then, nicely enough, you can turn it off at will. So I like that it's not something that you have to wait 24 hours to reuse or redo, because that would be that would be really, really annoying. Alright, so that's Vampire's Sight. Now we're going to toy with Vampire's Command next. This works on regular NPCs. It unlocks new dialogue options that must be obeyed, and I have actually successfully used this in public without having people trying to kill me, but we're going to save first just in case. So, who do you think should get it? So that's probably the easiest decision we've made. Goodbye, Nazim. All right.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often?
So initially, this functions a bit like a cleric's command spell in D&D. You can order them to stay. You can order them to run away. You can order them to follow you, so you got some mind game manipulations here. Or you can order them to die, and it doesn't count as an offensive spell. Observe. We're going to put you right in front where you can see this.
I need more experience if I'm going to run an inn someday.
Ooh. It's working. It's working on him. There he goes.
What happened here?
And if you've noticed...
Dead?
back away. Let the law handle this.
But
If anyone saw anything, step forward. Otherwise, step away from the body.
word, this is terrible.
You there. Wait a moment.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Oh,
You there.
what happened?
What do you know about this?
I'm not sure what happened.
If you happen to recollect anything about the incident, be sure to report to the captain of the guard. I've got my eye on you.
Not sure. Let's watch and
If you
find
happen
out.
to recollect anything about the incident, be
So
sure
you
to
can use
report
this to hijack an NPC. Obviously, the essential ones can't die, and it only works for like a minute and a half. Except obviously for the the death effect, that's permanent. But wait a second.
Once I've made
No.
enough money
Okay.
trading.
I was just checking to see if it only worked on one target. When talking to... Oh, it can affect... Ah! Okay, so it doesn't work on only one target. You once you activate this
I'm
thing...
going to buy the bannered mare from Hulda. They say there's
Oh, dear Lord. It works on all of your NPCs. Oh, that's... Oh, okay. That's a lot to process. You shall follow me, sir. Let me see. I want to see if this will actually work on multiple
All
NPCs.
I can think about is those battle boys.
Okay, so it does only work once.
They know it.
Okay. Still useful. Yeah, look, I've got a nice little follower. So you can grab a guard, powerful mage, bring him along for a short little trek. It only lasts for, in my case, 88 seconds. So you gotta be judicious with it. But I mean, you could also order him to flee, stay, or die. He's oh, did it wear off? I wonder what happens in their mind. Like, I was just inexorably drawn to this person, and then suddenly lost interest and just left. I don't know. It's weird. Alright, so last but not least, we have Vampire's Will. Now this one... Alright, so first we're going to use Vampire's Sight, because we're going to go into nighttime now. Because this one will actually require some... oh, Vampire's Command can be used multiple times a day. I missed that part earlier in my previous demonstration. Alright, we're going to wait till nightfall. Now, with this one, to show it off, you need to be alone with either the NPC or the target. So if it takes me a minute to find one, I apologize. I may end up, let's see. I may end up just skipping ahead if I can't find what I need. Alright, we just need to be able to punch.
So, have you gotten Metal Bane back?
And we should have that power prepped. Vampire's Will, excellent. Okay, so we need one lone NPC that's off and away from everybody else.
Make sure you treat your
Particularly out of eyeshot and earshot of the rest of Whiterun. So give me a minute to wait till one of these guys peels away from the crowd.
hunger to them.
I worry about the other settlements in the hold. Unwalled, lightly manned.
Alright, I think this is as isolated as we're going to get. Hello, sir!
What was that?
Haha! Okay, so as you can see, the spell broke combat. It kind of hiccuped his detection so that I had time to get into stealth and go away. So it gives your vampire a get out of jail free card, figuratively speaking. Like, you can use that to interrupt combat, kind of charm the target into forgetting what just happened, and then they leave. However, if you do it in town and witnesses are close enough to realize what happened, yeah, you can see the spell is still keeping the victim calm, but the guards are not. So let me see if I can...
You have committed crimes against
There we go.
Skyrim.
Okay, I don't mind serving a little jail time for the sake of the demonstration. You've got 40 gold. Yeah, sure.
Man. Now come
40
along
gold
with
for
us.
punching Bellathor in the
Take
back of
your
the
stolen
head.
goods and you'll be free to go. Off
Who
you
here
go.
hasn't
Fine,
want to punch
of course.
Bellathor in the back of the head? It's a very understandable sensation. Alright, so as you can see, we've got the lovely night vision going. And obviously, it's kind of cool, actually. I like it. It works good, especially in dungeons and stuff. Makes it easier to see what's going on. It does make it harder to differentiate color. But usually your quest is not color dependent. All right, so let's see. Okay, so next we're going to go. So these are the 4 abilities that you get when you become a vampire in Sacrosanct. Now we're going to go to the buffs and the weaknesses that you get as a vampire in Sacrosanct. So, is that Dominate? Yeah, so the first one is called Dominate. Illusion spells cast by the vampire are 25% more powerful and last 25% longer on creatures and people. So notice that excludes automatons, constructs, machines, that kind of thing. So vampire, obviously, if you're using illusion magic of any kind, running a vampire along with that build is going to be significantly stronger. We also have Moonlit Waters. A vampire can swim underwater without drowning and can walk across the surface. So underwater stuff is easy. This is particularly nice at the end of this Thieves Guild quest. If you haven't played that, then I won't give you any spoilers. But let's just say the last level is a lot less stressful if you're capable of breathing underwater. Next, we have Resist Disease. As a vampire, you have 100% resistance to disease, so you don't have that annoying rock joint popping up whenever a wolf bites you the wrong way or anything like that. We also have Resist Frost. Your vampiric blood gives you 50% frost resistance. Now, keep in mind, right now I'm fully sated, right? My vampire has fed recently. The more hungry you get as a vampire, the more this drops. So when you're blood starved, that's when you're starving, that'll only give you 20% frost resistance. So you're kind of motivated to keep your feeding up if you're worried about dealing with frost magic. Next, we also have Resist Poison. Vampiric blood gives you 100% resistance to poisons, which is really, really nice if you're dealing with Falmer and Chorus and those nasty things. We also have Stillheart. A vampire is 25% harder to detect by creatures and people while sneaking. So as you can see, there's a lot of vampire buffs that play to a thief or illusion-based playthrough. There is also, I don't know if they are... Okay, so the debuffs... Okay, some of the debuffs are actually displayed here, and others I'll have to go show you. So one of the weaknesses, obviously, you are weak to fire. It starts off at 20%, but if you become blood-starved, that weakness will grow to 50%. So again, if you're blood-starved, you need to watch out if you're up against mages that are hurling magic. Also, you have weakness to sunlight, which will only show up during the day. Okay, so before I show you the weakness to sunlight, there is one other inherent weakness that is called a Trespassing Curse. This guy, that anti-combat effect is still working on him. That's cute. Alright, so I am not a stealth-based character, but hopefully this will work. If I can sneak in. There we go. So notice how my stamina and my magicka are draining. This is because I have triggered the Trespassing Curse, which means when I'm trespassing in someone else's house, I lose 10 points of magicka and stamina per second. So this is an interesting debuff. Well, first off, it's kind of lore-friendly if you're familiar with most vampire lore. Second off, it's interesting because when you're trying to sneak feed on NPCs, you're usually trespassing. So I think that's a really interesting thing to add to bring balance to the game, because the longer I'm in here, the weaker I get, at least as far as if I get caught and have to whip out my magic or sprint away. So I think that's a really nice touch. You know, it doesn't mess up your gameplay, but it does make things a little more interesting. Now, last we have weakness to sunlight, and I'm pretty sure the rest of these abilities I can show off during the day without any trouble. So we're going to go ahead and take a little breather until the sun comes up. We'll see where we're at here. Alright, here we go. Vampire blood boils in the sunlight. Let me show you what that does. Okay, so your health, magicka, and stamina do not recover while you are in sunlight, and they are reduced by 25 points. So if you go up top here, I have other buffs that are boosting my magicka and my health, but if I wasn't wearing my enchanted gear, all these would be red because they would all be penalized by 25 points. So not only are you weaker in sunlight, but you don't regenerate. Which I like because, you know, in earlier versions of Skyrim, or not Skyrim, but the Elder Scrolls games, in earlier versions, the sunlight would actually hurt you, right? And if you got caught out in the sun too long, you just die. And I really didn't like playing vampires because when I'm in a dungeon, I'm not paying attention to the time of day. That would be really irritating for me. But this kind of a debuff allows you can still shop, you can still fight if you have followers and stuff. You just have to be much more judicious with your resources because you do not regenerate magicka. So for example, case in point, that magicka is not going anywhere. It's not coming back.
I ain't done nothing.
I mean, potions will still bring it back, but you know what I mean. That passive regeneration, you don't think of it much when in a regular game until you're fighting 3 dragons and realize that you're not regenerating any of your stats. That just kind of sets things in, gives you the proper oh holy crapdom moment. Alright, what's next? So next we're going to be dealing with hunger. And alright, so first off, everything that I'm showing you, all of these abilities, all of the spells, all of the bonuses that we're about to go over, including the 4 I just showed you, are all tied to specific magic schools. And any perks that you have that boost those schools will also affect these powers. So obviously, most of these, command, seduction, will, they're all illusion based, right? So if you put perks into illusion, these powers will also benefit, which I think is really nice that he made every vampire ability tied to a school of magic. So if you do a pure destruction build, there are certain destruction spells you get as a vampire that obviously get enhanced, right? And that we're going to cover those in a different playthrough because there's an entire quest line that you have to follow in order to unlock those, and we will discuss those at a later date. Alright, so next we got to deal with your diet. As a vampire, you gots to eat. You gots to eat, gots to eat, gots to eat. So, let's see. Varied diet. No, I'm trying to see if there is a... It doesn't look like there's an actual status in which to see how well fed you are. So I know because I have this power called Blood Cauldron. This is only available when you're at max feeding, when you're sated. So there are 4 stages of hunger. There's sated, then there's thirsty, then there's parched, and there's blood-starved. So when you're sated, these are the abilities that you get. When you're sated, when you've topped yourself off, you get Fortitude. Vampiric blood makes you hard to kill. Upon taking fatal damage, you come back to life, becoming thirstier. What would be a good, fun way to show that off? Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll just offer myself up as a sacrificial lamb to the altar. Alright, come and get me. Oh, no, I wanted to fight. Come on. Yeah, come on. This is for a demonstration. I need to die very quickly. Come on. Oh, really? It takes you this long to kill some old vampire? Really? I'm not even fighting back. Come on. This is for posterity, so please kill me. Please ignore the exploding fire. That's a different perk. But as you can see, I am back. As I am thirsty, my vampiric charm has faded. And now, if you'll notice, my Fortitude is gone, as is my Blood Cauldron ability. And I'm now thirsty. So I now have what's called Blood Revel. That's my new power. In combat, I gain 25% bonus damage and spell effectiveness for 2 minutes or until combat ends. But it activates something called Wassil. Now, Wassil, if you enter combat, it's kind of like the inner beast coming out, the inner vampire. And what that does is it gives you the obvious attack damage, spell effectiveness. But when Wassil kicks in, the beast, this is the description, the beast awakens when you are below 25% health in combat. It drains all stats during combat and reduces them by 10 points until you feed. So we're going to go ahead and get attacked again. We're going to be a little more judicious about it, because once I get under 25% health, you should be able to see Wassil at work. And then we're going to have a drain prepped real quick. So come on. All right, I need to be 25% health for Wassil to kick in. Come on. It's going to take a while, isn't it? Oh, yeah, there you go. This will be faster. 25%. Come on. Where's that Wassil? There we go. All right, so. Well, as you can see, once you're already at 25% health, you're already mostly dead anyway. But it passively drains your health, your stamina, and your magicka. Not to the point where you die, but it will keep you at 1 point of health until you feed. So you need to be careful if you haven't been fully fed and you get into combat to stay above 25% health. And Vampiric Drain is a really good way to do that. Alright, let me see here. Where are we at? This is before the initial demonstration, so we'll use Blood Cauldron. Blood Cauldron, this you can use when sated. It uses up one of your feedings. So if I use Blood Cauldron, I'll immediately go back to being thirsty. But this is kind of an emergency spell you can push to give health, magicka, and stamina, but at the cost of becoming thirstier. So let's go ahead and drain some more of my magicka real quick. And use Blood Cauldron. That is the wrong button, if ever there was one. Come on, put my vision back. Thank you very much. Those pretty colors work a lot better. There we go. Okay. There we go. So it maxed out, brought all my magicka back. It brings your health back, your stamina back. But now I am thirsty. So I have the Blood Revel ability, which basically just boosts my attack and spell effectiveness for 25 seconds, right? Or until combat ends. So you can pop that right before combat, or if you get desperate and need to do more damage. But it also activates Wassil. So, oh, well, there we go. That's an easy way to show you guys Wassil. Power must be used in combat. Of course it must. All right. Well, we did save right before this, so there we go. Okay, we have activated Wassil. As you can see, my health is slowly fading away, and it will do so until I feed. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get out of combat. Oh, no, we won't be getting out of combat. However, I can show off a little perk here. And, oh wait, did I not? Oh crap, I haven't gotten that perk yet. Dang it! I got confused with my other character. There is a perk that you get later where if they stagger, you can actually feed on them in combat, which looks amazing. I'll show you that at a later deep dive, but it's pretty cool because your character, like in mid-combat, just grabs their throat and chows down. But anyway, we'll go over that later. So, let's see, where were we? Okay, Blood Cauldron to get us back to being thirsty. There we go. Alright, so the Wassil state gives you more damage, more buck for your bash, but you also start hemorrhaging your magicka and your health, so you got to use it judiciously. If you decide to live on the wild side, just be careful about that. Alright, so next we have when you stop being thirsty and you become parched. So we're going to kick this for about 24 hours. That ought to be enough for my vampire to go from thirsty to parched. Now when you're parched, you have two abilities. Oh crap, no. Okay, alright, there's two other abilities that you have access to before you become parched. So while you're sated or thirsty, you have power. You have two other options here. So this is called Nightwalk. This is one of my favorite vampire abilities. We're going to find a nice little quiet spot to demonstrate this. Alright, this is not combat, but it's very vampiric. There we go. We are a cloud that will not tick off local NPCs because we're just a cloud. You can go out to about 100 feet in range. Notice my body is nowhere to be seen. And when you deactivate, you teleport. I love it. It's so cool. I've actually used this to get around bugs. Like I've had a bug, for example, where I was stuck in the sky. And for some reason, switching to this allowed me to sneak in. I did the same thing to break into the Thalmor Embassy to get over one of the fences. So it's a cool little teleportability. You lose this once you become parched. So you start off sated when you're full, then thirsty when you've missed one day. You become parched when you miss two. When you become parched, you lose this ability. So I wanted to show it off before I got parched. We also have what is called the Kiss of Death, which I don't think... Oh, no, that's a passive. There we go. Okay, so up until sated and parched, you have Kiss of Death. This is where you have the option of draining a victim, right? So you feed to the point where they die. If you do that, you permanently increase your health, stamina, and magicka by 1 point, which doesn't sound like much until you eat 100 NPCs. I don't know if anyone wants to go that far. We will discuss that. There's a whole quest tied into that, so we will be going over that in a different playthrough or a different deep dive video. But I just wanted to make sure I showed you guys that before I starved my vampire any further. Now let's go ahead and finish starving him out. So our goal here is to become parched, which is the third of the down the level of thirstiness, if that's a word, for our vampire. Let's see if we're... Vampire blood boils in the sunlight, but it doesn't look like our thirst has gotten any worse, so we're going to give it another 6 hours. See where it goes. The thirst isn't exactly 24 hours. There's a chance of you or... There we go. Alright. A primal urge has awakened in our mind. Now, so we have lost Fortitude and Blood Cauldron. We have lost Kiss of Death and Nightwalk. And now we've unlocked Obfuscate, which I've rarely used because usually I am not this thirsty. And the mild fatigue, I think you can ignore that because I just haven't rested in a long time. And that is the wrong one. Obfuscate. Oh, let's see. Obfuscate. Is that a power? Give me a sec, I'll find it. Alright, found it. Obfuscate. Blend into your surroundings, gaining unbreakable invisibility for 88 seconds. Oh, we're going to put that to the test. And we're saving first. You know, in true Skyrim fashion, right? You get bored, so you make yourself invulnerable, go around setting everyone on fire, and then reload. Yeah, that's what's about to happen. Okay, cue the Obfuscate. Woo! Permanent invisibility for the next 2 minutes. But apparently everyone still knows who I am because, well, there's now a price on my head, so yeah. Feed me. Oh, they still can't find me. Ha! Peekaboo! You're dead, son. Can't find me. Can't find me. Unbreakable invisibility is amazing, I must say. So, with this one, this is a really fun ability, but keep in mind you are 3 tiers down in thirstiness. The only one worse than this is being blood-starved, and that comes with its own risks. So you're getting a really powerful ability, but at the same time you are also more vulnerable because remember, if your health drops below 25%, you'll trigger that Wassil that constantly drains your health and your stamina and your magicka. So yeah, be careful with that. That's all I can say. So we also have, I believe it's a state of condition called the Beast. Let me see if I can find that. There it is. Okay. So now that I am so thirsty, right? I'm 3 out of 4 on the thirsty meter. I am parched. I can no longer feed without killing someone, right? When I feed on someone, it is going to be a drain. I'm going to drain them dry. So that guy I had up at my camp that I was feeding on routinely, I can't feed on him non-lethally now. The next feed I have is going to be lethal, which I think is a really nice balance. It kind of shows how desperate and hungry your character is becoming, which I think is a really nice touch. Alright, we're going to find a nice quiet corner up here in which to wait another 24 hours, because the last step of the thirst cycle is becoming blood-starved. Now, blood-starved, at this point, you lose all of the abilities that I have just discussed. You still have Wassil, so if you go below 25% health, you're going to start hemorrhaging stats. You still have the Beast, so you can't non-lethally feed. You have to drain someone when you feed them because you're just too thirsty to hold back. And, oh geez. Oh, I hope I didn't... Okay, I think I'm okay. There's 2 more abilities that I want to show off, and hopefully I am in the right thirst mode to show them. Okay, I'm just going to reload real quick. It's hard to keep track of all these abilities because Sacrosanct is very detailed, right? Every stage of thirst gives you a different...
The plains outside Whiterun are ripe with game.
I hunt people. Shall I hunt you? Okay, so before I forget, there were 2 other abilities that I wanted to show off. Vampire's Command. That should be... Oh, you lose it. Oh, interesting. Okay, so once you become blood-starved, you will actually lose Vampire's Command. And you will also lose what is called Presence. Okay, so this is another vampire buff. Your Vampiric Charm makes intimidation attempts twice as likely to succeed, and you buy items for 5% cheaper. So it's a small buff, but you will lose this once you become blood-starved because your charisma is going to go about as far out the window as it possibly can. It comes with some interesting debuffs, but there are actually a couple of interesting perks when you are blood-starved. So we're going to run that 24-hour clock and see what happens. Alright, so when you are blood-starved, your vampire's command turns into power called Flaywind, and then you get a new debuff called the Mockery of Life. Healing spells and effects no longer heal you. Potions of Blood, which is a portable way for vampires to feed, has no effect. And you don't regenerate health. So it's basically like you're always in sunlight. You don't regenerate anymore. Oh geez. Okay, so we are blood-starved now. Flaywind is added. Let's have a look at that real quick. So Flaywind, target person within 10 feet flees while vampire bats absorb 45% health for 60 seconds. If the target dies, it counts as feeding. 45 health per second for 60 seconds. Okay, so basically you have a because you're blood-starved and you're close to not having any more sustenance and drying up as an old husk, you have this ability that allows you to panic feed, in essence. Let's see how well... Oh, I'm surprised she's not attacking me on sight.
Disrespect the law and you disrespect me.
Oh, okay, that's actually one of the... Okay, so this is one thing that's a little hard to demonstrate, but because I am blood-starved, there it is, Mockery of Life. Okay, so when you are blood-starved, you're so hungry that regular folks will just see you and they can tell you're a vampire, right? So this is like you've become the vampire state of the NPCs that we meet in caves, that you just immediately know they're bad guys and you attack them. The reason why I'm not being attacked is because one of the Vampire Lord perks actually allows you to maintain enough of your facade when you're blood-starved that you don't appear to be blood-starved, so you're not attacked. So just a warning, when you become blood-starved as a regular vampire, you will be attacked on sight by NPCs because they will see that you are a vampire. You can no longer hide it anymore. I still have these debuffs here, right? So healing spells and effects won't heal me, potions won't heal me, potions of blood won't even allow me to feed. It's going to have to be a live human, and it's going to have to be to the death. That is the only way that I can satiate myself as a vampire. And that said, we're going to make sure this doesn't miss. Oh, what a way to go. What a way to go. Eaten to death by vampires. And as you can see, I have fed. Now, so the way this works is... Remember, I was blood-starved, so I was 4 tiers down in the thirst chain. But as soon as I ate somebody, I went all the way back up to sated. So I unlocked all of the powers and abilities that I just talked about. Presence, Vampire's Command, Nightwalk, Kiss of Death, Blood Cauldron, Fortitude. So it really motivates you to stay satiated, to stay full. But if you decide that you that you like the abilities that come when you're thirsty or when you're parched, you can just grab, Blood Cauldron, pop that real quick. Now you're thirsty again, right? So there are ways to manipulate how hungry you are as a vampire in order to bring out the abilities and the powers that you like the most, which I think is a really interesting approach to take when it comes to vampirism in Skyrim. Oh man, the bats are still going after it. Oh, that is so creepy. Alrighty. So I believe that covers just about everything that I wanted to cover. This was Vampire 101 for Sacrosanct. And believe it or not, I have 5 more deep dive videos planned for this mod because it is huge and it is so much fun to dive into. So I thank you guys for coming along on my journey through Sacrosanct. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Let me know down below what your favorite vampire ability was that you saw during this demonstration. I particularly like the Nightwalk spell that turns you into a cloud and you can just kind of teleport to another location. I just think that is so much fun. It takes a minute to get loaded and then you can just take off. The teleport effect just looks awesome. I love it. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Take care and be safe.